Somebody coming. Thank you for coming here this early, and thank you for inviting me. This is my first time speaking with a microphone, so I have to make friends with it. So I'm not starting to stare at it, so it will not attack me. I was assured of that. My experiences stretch basically through my whole life. As a very young child, of course, it was normal for me. I did not question what happened. As a teenager, I was absolutely determined to be like everybody else. I did not want to be me anymore. As a young woman, a young mother, I truly did my best to be normal for my husband. I think after 36 years he's had it. And he wanted the true normal, the real normal, and not the trying to be normal. So I was born in 1953 in Germany. That's the accent that you hear. I came over into the United States in 1980, and the accent is just staying. It refuses to leave, but I think it's okay. As a child, my mom said I was a little on the strange side. I have a sister who is 3 years younger, and she obviously was the normal one. But, you know, I was the one who often sat under the table and did my own little things. And what I talked a lot about was the kids. I was always talking, I'm going to go play with the kids. That's okay, go play with the kids. When I came late for dinner, I've been with the kids. So my mom said, who are these kids? Where are they? They went home. So I always had an explanation because the kids were something that I could feel around me, and for me it was real. But I don't think anybody else could see them. So we had adventures. And when I was alone, the kids came and we went playing. And what we usually did when they came around, we walked up to this little white wall, or sometimes it was like a little fence. And the kids were already on that other side. And they said, come over, climb over, come on, we're going to play. And whenever I climbed over, I was part of their little group. And what we usually did is we played horses. All of a sudden we changed into horses and we galloped around and had fun. And when my mom asked me, what kind of day are we having today? If I said, oh, I'm having a Paula day because my horse name was Paula. If I had a Paula day, my mom would say, okay, you can eat your oats and whey on the floor, on all fours, and she would just play along with me. I didn't have to explain much. She just said it's a Paula day, and that's totally okay. As I got older, of course, I realized that not everybody was really interested in hearing stories, how good it feels when you turn into a horse. I was a klutzy kid, a tall, gangly kid with knobby knees and kind of like freckled face, and so to me it felt very stable to stretch out and turn into a horse because I always said, I need another pair of legs in the back. Then I'm stable. That's what it felt like. And of course I described that whoever wanted to talk to me about, I know what a horse feels like, it's really cool. You should try it sometimes. It's like, well, wait a minute. Something isn't right here. So during my early years, there was a lot of abuse from my grandfather. My grandfather was blind, and let's put it this way, he took liberties with me. And it was explained that, oh, granddad cannot see you, so he has to feel you. Well, there's a way of feeling, and then there's a way of that kind of feeling, and grandparents shouldn't do that. Well, he did it. whenever that situation got too intense, the kids came and I went playing with them. And when it was over, I was okay. I didn't remember much. The one who remembered actually was my sister, and she told my mom. And she said, I don't like Grandpa's games anymore. And my mom said, what kind of games? And she described them as a child. Well, that's what he's doing. I don't like his games anymore. And of course, it was her father. So that was a really painful situation for the family, I guess. For me, through the help of my little unseen crew, I just sailed through the experience, and therapists have told me, oh, you have to do this kind of work and that kind of work. And I said, I don't think so. I think a part of me went someplace else. And my body was not horribly hurt, not when I was that young. As a teenager, I was raped, and that was very traumatic. I was abducted, I was gang raped. I woke up the next morning and I knew, again, something, some unseen force had rescued me and had literally taken my memory with it. So I realized, okay, well, this is obviously, if you wake up tied to a bed, yeah, you can deduct what happened to you. I was very, very matter-of-factly about it. I said, okay, I guess this was not a good experience. I towed myself, I took a shower, I walked out of that little room where they had put me, and I found a way to get back home. Didn't say a word. Did not say a word. Looked over at my body, not a scratch, sore on the inside, of course, but not physically hurt on the outside. So I said, okay, it'll heal, it'll go away. I went to school. So that was the time in my life when I tried to really shut everything down, because I started to doubt that what was going on with me was normal. I really wanted to be normal. I wanted to be like everybody else. I wanted to have a boyfriend. Well, didn't go so well. This strangeness came through, and then of course I was afraid that somebody would grab me again and harm me, and this time that I might remember what happened to me. So I shut everything down and met my husband. We got married. I had my first daughter in 76. In 77. I graduated as an occupational therapist in 76, had my daughter in 77. So that whole birthing experience was very hard on me, because there was obviously some internal damage left behind from the rape. So they told me, well, we have to watch you very closely. We cannot give you a lot of medication. Let's see if we can get this as normal as possible. And I was in a lot of pain, and I woke up. I'd taken a little nap. I woke up and there was somebody sitting next to my bed. And I remember it was a woman, because in profile it looked like a woman. So of course I thought it's a nurse. And she said, I know you have a lot of pain, so let's do something about that. I want you to focus on the wall in front of your bed. You will see a purple spot. Do you see the purple light? There was a purple light. And she said, you just go and look at that purple light. And I will hold your hand, and you will be fine. The pain will be gone, and when you wake up, you will have your baby. And that's exactly how it happened. So when I had my baby, the next morning I said to the doctor who came to check on me, I want to thank that nurse that was sitting next to my bed, and the nurse who told me about the purple light. Well, of course, there was no nurse. And there was anybody had never heard about a purple light taking pain away. So I said, okay, if it's not the kids anymore, but the other side is back, we're back. And I was thinking, should I want this? Should I invite this? Should I go? And, well, as a kid you play. As an adult you don't. So you filter it through your adult consciousness. And it's like, I think it's time to either let this go or ask other people to see if they had several experiences like that. So I was sitting on the fence. I was sitting on the fence for many years. And we were living in West Virginia, and we had bought a new car. My husband said, I give you the new car to try out, be careful. I had both of my kids in the car. We had 2 girls by then. It was snowy. Of course, I made it up the mountain, and then I had an accident. And I remember the accident in slow motion, swerving across the road, turning to the right side, and getting stuck, literally stuck on something. And I said, where are we? And I leaned forward, and the car came down like this. So we were stuck on something, I thought maybe a tree trunk. There was no damage to the car. We were just stuck. So I told the girls, we have to go out the back. It was like a hatchback. We have to go out the back. And we're gonna see what, maybe we can call or somebody will find us here. We can play in the snow. And I opened the hatch, let my girls out. They immediately started jumping around, playing angels in the snow, having a little snowball fight. And I realized that they were talking amongst themselves, but there was something around that they could see and I couldn't. So I said, my goodness gracious, I have to leave my kids in the care of some unseen force. What is this? I got out of the car and we were stuck on the guardrail. Literally, the guardrail has these posts. So we were stuck. The car was perfectly balanced on that guardrail. But the minute I moved a finger, the car would do this. So I got out of that car as carefully as I could, leaned over, turned the motor off, and I remember that it was absolutely still, almost like there was no movement. Time literally stood still. And I stepped down, I looked down this ravine because it was very steep. I mean, if you know West Virginia, you have a mountain on one side, the road cut in, and then you have the ravine on the other. There is no wiggle room. So I looked down that ravine, and way on the bottom of the ravine, I saw my car smashed to pieces, the bodies of both of my children and my own. And I looked at this almost like a tableau in front of me. And I looked, and I remember pinching and hitting myself. And I said, this is real, this is real, this is real. And poof, that image was gone because I chose to live. I still believe today, if I had said, oh my God, I think I'm dead, I would have been. That would have become my reality. It was literally a choice. So people came, stopped, took pictures of the car, said, how in the world did you do this, ma'am? I said, I don't know. My husband was at that time working for the Forest Service in West Virginia. He was a ranger. They called him, back then no cell phones, walkie-talkies, breaker, called for him. He came up, he said, oh my God, it had to be this car, it had to be now. Well, what they found out, they could lift the car up. There was a hole in the bottom of the car. It could be fixed, and the car was totally serviceable from then on. So, did I talk to my husband about this? I don't think so. How do you explain that? He was a good man. He was totally rational. He was a scientist. And I think he was working hard on living with somebody who was just different. But that was the first full time reoccurrence of something that, like I said, extended from my childhood. And so I said, it's coming back, it's coming back. Since it had to do with this death scene, I became afraid. I said, it's after me. It's trying to catch up with me. I better not think about it, not talk about it. I just tried my best to shut it down. So what happened is, and I don't know if this is something that other people have also experienced, in my case, my mind started clearing up, but my body started getting sick. And I had all these strange incidences of sudden high fevers and weight loss and weight gain and couldn't keep food down, all kinds of different things, ailments. And the doctors just said, oh, it's stress. You have 2 little children at home. Are you working, ma'am? No, I stay at home. Well, maybe getting to work, getting your mind off your body would be good. Okay, in West Virginia, in the 80s, there was not that much, that I could do as an occupational therapist. So when we moved to New Jersey, which is the place where my husband was from, Trenton, New Jersey, I started working in Trenton, New Jersey. And I prepared to go back into my field of occupational therapy, but I had my degree in German, in Germany, so you had to get enough hours, working hours in the new country, and then of course, you have to sit for an evaluation, and so it's a lengthy process. But I started to prepare there, and I read books and got into contact with therapists over the phone, and what are the requirements, what do you have to do, and I worked with adults with developmental disabilities. And the interesting thing was that these adults who had probably relatively low IQ, okay, as far as the typical population goes, they had the biggest hearts. And some of them could speak, some of them couldn't, but there was a really deep connection that I formed with them, and I really enjoyed working with them. And I said, I think as my profession, I will choose developmental disabilities. I want to go in that field. I think that's a good fit for me. My next job took me to a daycare center, and I was working with the same kind of population, but now with the little ones. I was head toddler room teacher for a while, and some of the kids that were under my care, I realize now that they were probably on the autism spectrum. So these little tykes just stole my heart, because they reminded me of the kids that had been around me. There was the same little feeling, energetic feeling that when I said, oh my gosh, hey, I think I'm going to be working with kids. I wanted to work with kids from then on. Bless you. So the strange experiences eventually came back when I moved to Arizona. There was one incident in New Mexico where we lived before I came to Arizona, but I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. And I just thought, well, maybe this is really stress-related, but the way it sort of like played out, I had been to a church service, and I came back and had an experience where I felt this, something is coming. I pulled off the road and just sat in the car, and I wasn't sure, was I going to get sick to my stomach? It's just this total physical, wait a minute, something is up feeling. And so what happened was I didn't get sick to my stomach, but I felt this immense rush of energy coming through me, going out of me, turning around, almost felt like a donut. Imagine you're sitting in a donut hole. And so the energy is going around and it's coming back in, swooping up again. So I just sat through this, totally still. And then it went away, and then I heard a voice, like somebody sitting in the back seat of the car, speaking right here on my right shoulder, and saying, "You are whole, you are healed, you are whole, you are holy. You may use this." Nobody there. I said, okay, this is it. I've cracked. I've absolutely cracked. This is whatever this was. Again, I didn't talk about it. I did not talk about it. But I said, since this is coming back, I have nobody to turn to, but I need to process it somehow. I'm going to find out if there are other people who have had experiences like that. I'm going to approach it very gingerly, very carefully. Depending on who I meet, I can talk about this as a spiritual kind of thing. If it's somebody who is more of a scientific mind bent, I can see, okay, talk to me about brain waves, talk to me about, whatever, brain processes. So I said, whoever I meet, I will sort of like ferret out who that might be, and then I can look at it from both sides. What I found was, I like to go to the bookstore. I was working, my kids were in school, I was working as a therapist. I like to go to the bookstore. I lived in Barnes and Nobles, and I still do. So I started reading all kinds of books about these kind of experiences, and there was one big, heavy, dark blue book that showed up everywhere I went. It fell on my feet. I stumbled over it. Somebody left it on my chair. I said, "What is this? Stupid book, what are you?" Then one night I just said, "Come here, you ugly, stupid book." I opened it, and the last thing that I remember is I took the book, I sat on the floor with the bookcase in my back. So I just sat on the floor because all the seats, I guess, were taken. It was like, I don't know, in the evening. And I started reading. And I literally disappeared into the book of The Course of Miracles. I literally disappeared into the book. Because when I came back out, people were looking at me and said, "Ma'am, what are you doing here?" I said, what, I'm in the bookstore, I'm reading this book. I said, "Ma'am, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. The bookstore has been closed for the past 3-4 hours. We are the cleaning crew. We would have locked you in here. What are you doing here?" I said, I don't know. I'm reading this book. I want to get this book. "Well, can you not come back tomorrow? There's nobody here to sell you this book." "I need this book." "Okay." They said they probably thought I was not quite right in the head. They treated me very gently. There was somebody lent me their arm. So I had my book. And we walked towards they said, "We have to leave, we cannot even go to the front door because the door is already alarmed. We have to go out to the side door." And I said, "But there's a light on in the front." They said, "There's a light on in the front?" "Okay, there's a light on in the front. We need to turn that light off." We're walking to the front. There is a little old man sitting close to the cash register, looking at me and said, "You found your book, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes, sir, found my book. Can I pay for it?" He said, "Yep, that would be $30. You got $30? Of course, I didn't have $30 like that on me. He said, "That's okay, just take a look in your wallet." I got my wallet. There were 3 brand new $10 bills in there. Have you ever gotten when they come from the mint? I mean, when they open up the bankroll in the bank and it's like you know this has not been touched by human hands kind of feeling? Yeah, like that. 3 of them. And I pulled them out. And I bet I was totally googly-eyed. I just said, here you go. And he said, oh, that'll suffice. There's your book. Have a good night. I went out the door with the cleaning crew, turned around. There was no light on. There was no old man. We were not even close to the cash register because we had actually gone out that side door. I came back around. My car was the only car that was in the parking lot. I turned around. I looked at that bookstore, and on the door was a big poster. And it said, Course of Miracles group now forming in your area. And had a name and the number to call if you wanted to join. And I had my book. So who sold me that book? Who put that money? I have no idea. So I said, am I entertaining angels unawares or something like that? Since they came so suddenly in my life, I started calling them the poof people. Poof. Poof here, poof in and out. So with this first miraculous, whatever it was, occurrence, when I joined the group, that miraculously was available on a day when I had a short day. And I was right in the area, and it fit perfectly between, ending my work day and having to start dinner for my family. So I could wedge this group once a week perfectly in there. The people in the group were people that I have been looking for because they had had experiences. And they said, it's okay. There's only one of us here, and that one is not crazy. So whatever you experience is real for you. Accept it. Be grateful for it. Don't be afraid. You might want to start journaling. You might want to write it down. You might want to look elsewhere for people who you are compatible with, who understand you. And so the group was wonderful. And I stayed with them for several years. And before I moved away from the area, my husband and I took a trip to California. And we were here in this area. We drove up and down the coast. We had a nice holiday. He said he wanted to take photographs on one of the famous golf course. That's close to La Jolla, I think. And he had a big camera, like one of those Ansel Adams cameras, a big wooden one. So he was busy with his equipment. And I was a little, well, can I help you? No, it's not for girls. Okay, all right, you do your thing. I said, honey, I'm going to take a little walk. So I walked. And as I walked, I said, oh, I think I'm getting to the end of this grounds because the grass was getting higher and a little bit rougher. So I said, okay, this is probably not the golf course. This is like next to the golf course. But there's a little stream in the background and there's a little bridge. So I think I can go further because the path was just winding. So I came to this bridge and I looked and I said, the other side looks like there's an embankment and it's a little higher. So I think I'm going to go across this bridge and then I'm on higher ground and I can see where I am and maybe I see the ocean. So I did. I stepped on top of this bridge, looked around. Ooh, this is beautiful here. This keeps on going on. This is gorgeous. Where am I? This is like a beautiful park. Look at all the flowers and the gorgeous trees and it smells so good. Oh man, I wish my husband could see that. So I looked back from that vantage point from the bridge. I looked back and I saw my husband way in the distance. And he looked like he was still taking photographs, setting up his equipment. So I said, I'm just going to keep going. I cannot get lost here. That was my feeling, that I cannot get lost here because there's only like one path. You cannot miss it. So I started walking and then I realized, this is a different place. But it's okay. The first thing that I noticed, coming off that bridge and walking maybe like the first 10 minutes, it's bright here, but there's no sun. So I looked up and I see the sky, but the light was not coming from the sun. And I realized there was also no shadow. And to me it's like, of course, if there's no sun, there's no shadow. There's just light here. Okay, nice. So I kept walking. And after a while, I had the feeling, I feel very light, and I don't think I really have to breathe here. It's not necessary. It's like there's no air. You don't have to breathe. Everything was swaying gently and moving, but it was not like I could feel air in my face. So I just accepted it. Whatever it was, I didn't probably have to breathe, and I was probably okay, because I was totally alive, looking around. It was totally real. And as I kept going, I realized that, my steps are getting like, I'm starting to float. And that was a wonderful experience. That was, oh my gosh, I wish I could move like that all the time. The way it felt like, if you're on an airport and you go on these, whatever these things are where you don't have to walk, you can just stand and like it transports you. But if you walk on that, the feeling is you're much faster. You're getting so far ahead of everybody. This kind of feeling, that's exactly what it felt like. And then I said, I think if I just push up, I can kind of like do this. And I did, and it was like wonderful. I kept walking. And there were people that were sitting on park benches, and they all seemed to know me and seemed to greet me. I don't remember their faces, but there were younger ones and older ones. There were kids too. There were a couple of dogs even running around. And it was like being in a park, like a setting out here. It was beautiful. And way in the background, there was a white building. And I thought, this is a library. That's a library. I got this feeling this is a library and I'm supposed to be there. So I went up there and I looked at this library, and it looked like the buildings in Washington, like it white, with the big columns. And I said, that's a library. There's these steps leading up to, and I said, I'm going to go in there. So I did. I went in there and I realized it looked like a solid building, but it was just lots and lots and lots and lots of columns. And I looked up and I wasn't quite sure if I was seeing the roof. It was very tall. And I was walking through these columns. In the middle of this path was something that I first thought was maybe a fountain. But it wasn't a fountain. It was a round structure, and it had these immense big books on it. And I remember seeing the books, and I said, knew it, it's a library. So imagine you have kind of like a round carousel kind of thing, and one book next to the other, so all around. So the books were very big, they were old, and they had these beautiful, deeply embossed covers. And I remember touching them, and that felt so good. I mean, my fingertips still remember the way that felt like. And I said, my book is here somewhere. And I stood in front of it, and I was about to open the book and look, because I realized this is my book, or a book for me. And I got this feeling, maybe next time. Maybe not this time. Maybe next time. I can come back here anytime I want, okay? But I had this feeling that it was time to go back. My husband would probably wonder, where I went. So I went all the way around, down that long hallway, along those columns, down those steps. There were still the people looking at me, back to the path, back through the flowers, the trees. Here's my little bridge. I come up on top of the bridge. I see my husband standing there. I take one more step and slammed into my body. Like this, as if I had hit a wall. Like this. he looked up at me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I don't know. What was I doing?" He said, "You were standing there and staring." Oh, okay. So at that time I knew that I had gone somewhere. And then I realized, okay, there's a little bridge. It's the equivalent of my little fence or my little wall that I crossed when I was a child. So I said, okay, that was definitely not on this side. Wherever it was not on this side. So I stayed quiet the rest of the vacation. My body took another hit, lots of illnesses, because again, I did not talk about these experiences. I literally tried to control it, keep it all in, but it took its toll on me. And when I started to speak finally to people, they said, you need to process this. You need to write it down. Write it down. Talk to yourself under your breath, it doesn't matter. But if you shut it up, what you do not use can turn itself against you. And so I said, okay. I started reading more and more books. And there were books that described my kind of experiences. So I said, okay, then I'm one of the weird ones who has these experiences. What can I do with it? Is this good for something? And then I realized that I could use it when I was working with my clients, with the children. I realized that some of the children that I was working with seemed to be sensitive the way I was sensitive as a child. And they were starting, when I was playing with them, they would look up into the corners of the room and they would smile. And sometimes they would wave. And I said, I think they're seeing what I saw as a child. They're seeing something. And so I just decided to act as if I could see it too. And I said, I see it. Let's draw it. And some of the kids started drawing colors and rainbows and beautiful things. And so I said, okay, they can see energy. Because that's what it is. It hides in the corners of a room, of a building. It's energy. They can see, they're sensitive to it. And we know that these kind of experiences are shifts in energy, right? So I said, okay, if they can see it, maybe I can use it during therapy. If I just stay open my heart, just welcome them in, I might be able to forge a better connection with them. And that definitely has worked. So I've used my experiences for something good. I had one more that was really, that really rattled me. My husband decided to ask for a divorce, and we were in the proceedings of the divorce. It was not final yet, but we had already separated. And I was living alone by myself. I had booked for a conference that I wanted to go to, and it was in San Diego. And I went to the conference. It was very intense, so for 3 days I was totally not stressed, but I learned so much new things, and I bought the books and I bought the CDs, and I really wanted to get all this experience. So on the way back from San Diego on the highway back towards Arizona, there was a stretch of road that reminded me, because it was, again, the mountain on one side, here's the road, and here was like a ravine. I said, this reminds me of something. This reminds me of this. This looks like that experience back in West Virginia, only without the snow. And as I had this thought, I saw a light blinking in my car. Tire pressure, all 4 tires down low. And the fuel gauge, zap, 0. I said, oh my gosh, I need to find a filling station. I need to have, somebody needs to pump my tires. I need gas. What am I going to do? I think I just slow the car down and let her roll and say, I will find something. And all of a sudden, there was a road, kind of like a little logging road, leading down on the right. And I would say maybe a quarter mile down, there were buildings and what looked like a very old-fashioned, like an old Texaco station. Remember those old, in the 50s, those old, we literally hand cranked your gas, somebody came out full service, right? So I pulled up there and there was a little old man and he said, yep, looks like you need some gas, looks like you need the tires pumped. That's okay, we can do that here. You just give me the keys, we'll take care of it. So I said, okay. I remember thinking that I don't think they look like they take credit cards or debit cards. I can pay in cash here. I mean, I was little old man. The buildings were kind of like ramshackle, but it was like an old-fashioned gas station with a gas station. So I gave him the keys. I got out of the car, gave him the keys, stretched my legs and looked around. I said, it's beautiful here. Oh my goodness. I could see the road, okay, the highway. There was no cars coming. So I said, it's kind of lonely here, but there's the road. That's where I came down. I turned around and there was a little old lady coming towards me. She came down this little logging road. I remember it almost looked like she was rolling. She was like heavy-set, rotund. She came and she threw her arms around me and she said, you're finally here. I am so glad that you made it. I'm so happy to see you here. They will take care of you, girl. You are absolutely okay. Nothing is wrong. You did the right thing. She gave me all these encouraging words and hugged me. And it's like, like when you get hugged like this, you just stand there like that. She really wrapped her arms around me. And then she put her hands on my shoulders. She stepped back and she said, let me look at you. Yep, it's you. You're good. It's all okay. Oh, I think they got your car ready. Bye. I took one step, turned around. Of course, there was nobody there. Another poof person. I don't know. Got in the car. Drove up on the highway. Gas was there. The tires were pumped. I pulled out. I looked. Wanted to remember that place. Look, there was no place there. I said, okay, this is it. There is no rhyme or reason to that other than to accept that there is another reality there that I somehow can step in and out of. Do I invite it? I don't know. Is it there? Absolutely. Can I prove it? No, because it is experiential. So after that experience, I said, I will literally go and find people who are knowledgeable about this in a bigger way. So I was in Tucson. In Tucson, I joined the IONS. We had all the wonderful speakers, all the people who have written about these kind of things, all the people who have researched that, came and spoke, and I sought them out. And I was friendly with the people who put these events together. So for some of the speakers, I was actually able to have more of an in-depth conversation with them because we joined later after the presentation and had just like we have today, a get-together with, a friendly lunch or a friendly dinner. In Tucson, it was in the evenings. And so I started talking to them and they said, wow, this is not as unreal as you think it is. There's quite a few of us here who have had these experiences. So I said, what should I do? Is it talk about it? Talk about it. So after quite a few people encouraged me to talk about it, I said, well, eventually, I think I will. My experiences are different. They're not the true deathbed dying on the operation table and coming back into your body. They're like visiting this in-between state, this in-between realm that is really, really, really close and always around us. And I think it is comfort, for me it's comforting to know that it is there, and that probably in a pinch it would help me again. It is not something that I do with my willpower, it just is. And the minute I accept it, I feel peaceful. Of course, I thought, does this have anything to do with a state of the brain? Am I maybe harboring some kind of illnesses, where you say, oh, that brain is not normal? No, has nothing to do with it. The scientific explanation is it's a switch in brain waves, which is a switch in awareness, which opens you up to seeing more. And I just accepted it. And I said, okay, well, if this is my destiny, if this is what I'm supposed to experience, then I will welcome it. I will not try to shut it down anymore. I will not think I'm crazy. And I will encourage other people who have interest in it or who have questions about it. If I can be of assistance, if I can help, because what helped me was that people said, you're not crazy. We have experienced that too. It is a felt reality. It is something that is inside of you, that projects out of you. It's a different reality. And we are all creators of our own world. So this is inside of you, and that's why you see it. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't try it when you're driving. So there was a time when I had an accident in Tucson, and it was a work day. I had eaten something that did not agree with me. I did not feel good. I got queasy in my stomach, and my last conscious thought was, man, I need to stop this car. Poof. Okay. I was looking at something big, white, and there was a funny smell in my car. I said, oh my God, I ran into something. I had run into a white truck, wedged my little Yaris halfway under. My Yaris was mush. I did not have a scratch on me. The lady who got out of the car said, what happened? What did you do? Oh my God, look at your poor car. I said, I'm okay. Did you? She said, no, not a scratch. And I said, I think it's really good that I ran into you. And she said, I don't know what made me stop. I could have gotten across that intersection, but something told me to stop. And I said, yeah, that was probably me asking for the car to be stopped. If I had not run into her. This was the biggest intersection in town, 2:30 in the afternoon, all the school buses, all the kids coming out of school. If I had fainted, which I felt I might do, in the car I would have driven in this unconscious state into traffic, and I don't know how many people would have died. That would have been a disaster. So, what do you say to somebody like this? I asked, somebody please stop that car. I asked and it was given, immediate manifestation. So I said, well, thank you. Thank you, it's all I could say. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I needed a new car. Okay. My friend said, we're gonna help you. It's not a problem to find your little car. You want one like this, the same color? We'll find a car for you. They found a car for me. I said, oh wow, how can I pay for this? Okay, so there is some insurance money coming in. I said, what can I do with the rest? The people in the insurance agency said, just look in your wallet. I looked in my wallet, oh, there's a credit card. Where is this coming from? I looked at it and I said, I've never seen this before. They said, girl, do you know what this is? You can pay your car with this credit card. It's exactly the amount that you need. We put it on the card and you can pay it off, and I did. You ask me. They were friends with me, so this time somebody literally witnessed that, and they said, "You're a lucky dog." And I said, "Well, lucky dog, maybe not, but lucky, yeah, definitely. I feel lucky. I feel very grateful." So I had another accident last year. Drove my little Yaris, because I got another Yaris. Drove my little Yaris, had some beautiful music playing. Came from work, wanted to take a shortcut through the village, and somebody ran into me, T-boned me. So that accident could very easily have cost me my life, cost them their lives. We didn't have a scratch again. Not a scratch. They had 4 babies in the car, 4 little ones in car seats. All okay. I was a little bruised, I was shaken up, but I was okay. I still don't know what prompted that, but it felt like another something saved me. So, again, I started talking to people who had these kind of experiences, and they all said, "Yeah, we know what this is. You went to the land in between. You are in communication with something that's on the other side. Are those angels? We don't know. Are those unseen helpers? Yes, I think so. They look totally normal to me. When these poof people come in my life, they look totally normal. 3D. They hug me, they touch me, we talk. The thing is, I turn around and they're gone." So, popping in and out of dimensions, I don't know. Is it evil? Lots of people have asked me, "Do you feel that this is evil? Are you being deceived because there are false prophets out there?" I said, I think if I start feeling that, I will pray about it. I will ask, can this be explained? The only explanation that always seems to come feeling-wise is, this is okay. Accept it, honor it, love it. This is you. And this is okay. So these are the little in-between steps. People have these big experiences, and my experiences sort of like seem to fill the gap in between the big ones. So for all it's worth, I'm ready to talk about it. I encourage other people to talk about it. I use what I have learned in my treatments with the children, because I open my heart to them, and most of my kids are somewhere on the autism spectrum or have pretty severe developmental disabilities. If you need occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, the developmental support that is out there. I am basically, when I'm working with these children, I just open my heart and they welcome me in and I welcome them. And there is a very easy, beautiful connection. I've started to explain it to some of the parents, because these parents have said, "I see my child when they're with you, they're so peaceful, they're so different. What do you do?" And I just say, the best way to explain it is gratitude. I'm grateful, little one, that you're in my life. I welcome you as a teacher that you are. I accept you. I love you. If you have that state, it's a vibrational opening, and it opens the heart. And that's what the kids want, and they're happy with that. And that's how they make progress connecting to their parents. Some of the parents understand that. They have asked me straight out, "I want to do what you do. You don't hold it back. You can talk to me. I want to know this." And others, of course, I have to be careful, because I'm not a healer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm a therapist. But I use it as a tool. And I think the universe is giving me the okay to do that, to use it as a tool, and to open up and not shut it down anymore, because I think if I were to do it, that would be the last attempt, and I don't think it would do me physically good if I denied it. So that's my story.